And as a final note, just to show you how easy it is, this new tech can copy anyone's voice using just a minute of audio. I have thousands of hours of audio on YouTube, people. Right? Andre, please, like Voco, Learbird's latest application program interface synthesizes speech using anyone's voice. Unlike Voco, which requires 20 minutes of audio to generate its replication, Learbird's tech only needs a minute-long sample of the voice it synthesizes. And if that's not impressive enough, Learbird's new service doesn't require a speaker to say any of the actual words it needs. It can learn from noisy recording and put different intonations into the generated audio to indicate varied emotions as well. A concerned voice. Learbird's new tech is revolutionary indeed. It doesn't just edit audio recording, it makes it easy for someone to generate a new recording that truly sounds like it was spoken by a particular person and not created by a computer. So don't say it doesn't happen, people. It does, because the judge said yes, yes. Can I file another one? Yes. I didn't ask if I had the freedom. I just said, can I file another one? Yes. Can I file another lawsuit? Yes. Okay. And I left. Thank you. And I left. Not this mumbo jumbo shit that they put in there, people. This raises some rather interesting questions, and not only does Learbird acknowledge these, the company actually wants everyone else as well. Everyone else too as well. Voice recordings, please Andre, voice recordings are currently considered as strong pieces of evidence in our society, and in particular in, here we go, people, jurisdictions of many countries. Our technology questions the validity of such evidence as it allows to easily manipulate audio recording. This could potentially have dangerous consequences, such as misleading diplomats, fraud, and more generally, any other problem caused by stealing the identity of somebody else or trying to manipulate court transcripts. We hope that everyone will soon be aware that such technology exists and that copying the voice of someone else is possible. More generally, we want to raise attention about the lack of evidence that audio recording may represent in the near future. Because they won't allow you people to bring in your own recorder. Now, why is that? Why can you not record something that you're a party of? Even though under the Criminal Code of Canada, you're entitled to do that. In short, Learbird wants people to know they can easily be duped by audio and hopes this knowledge will actually prevent fraud. By releasing our technology publicly, and the government is 25 years in advance of the general public, people, and making it available to anyone, we want to ensure that there will be no such risks. There you go. There you go, people.
Is it recording?
Being aware of the potential to be bamboozled by audio is one thing, but protecting oneself from potential fraud is another. Still, the value of Learbird's technology can't be denied. Whether it is useful for things like creating more realistic sounding virtual assistants outweighs its potential for nefarious endeavors remains to be seen. Fraser Health Authority. Are you now drawing in the Canadian court system into your nefarious endeavors because you have a judicial mafia running the show? Is that it? Is that what Uncle John fell into the hands of, a judicial mafia? My God. Okay, still February 24th. I'm going to upload what I just did, but I'm going to put this first, people. Listen to what I'm saying. So, but at the end of it, I made sure I asked him, well, okay, if you're going to throw it out, can I appeal? Yes. Can I file another one? Yes. Okay. And I went straight to the resource room that helps you with that type of paperwork, and I asked him, how many days do I have before I have no more time to make this appeal? Hold on. Now we're going to look on the falsified transcript. This is near the end. You heard me say, I asked, can I appeal? The judge said, yes. Then I said, can I file another one? The judge said, yes. Remember with the last video? There's nothing in here that says yes, people, because it's been removed. And it's been replaced with, you have the freedom to appeal this decision if you wish. He never said that. And I never said, I have the freedom to file another one. I never used the word freedom, people. I wouldn't have used it in this context. But I have the freedom to appeal? No. I simply asked him, can I appeal? He said, yes. I said, can I file another one? He said, yes. And then he goes on, this has been changed. This is not my words, people. And I have the freedom to file another lawsuit? That depends what the lawsuit relates to. He never said that. I said, okay. I didn't say that. The court, there are rules regarding whether the matter is similar to this or a different matter. You may if you have a lawsuit on a different matter. He never said that, people. He said, yes, yes, yes. Straight to the resource. If I would have used the word freedom. Well, too bad if you still love him, basically. If I would have used the word freedom, and if he would have said these things, I would have reiterated exactly what he said. But that's not what he said. But at the end of it, at the end of this, sure I asked him, at the end of this, okay, if you're going to throw it out, can I appeal? Yes. Can I file another one? Yes. Okay. And I went straight to the resource. I talked to my daughter. That was December 8th. Came home, made the video, started uploading in the evening, hooked in on the 8th. This here, people, has been falsified. Now, they're doing it for two reasons. One, because the judge realized he made a mistake. So they had to falsify it to make it look like he gave me this information so that he didn't mislead me with his words, yes. Okay, they're protecting themselves. They're protecting the corporation, and the judge is protecting himself. As well as they're trying to make me look like I'm some sort of paranoid person that has delusions. Now, I spoke to somebody about this, and they said that I should listen to the transcripts. However, hold on a minute. However, because I do videos regularly, and I have a number to choose from, right? I have like 1,200 videos to choose from, people. It's not that hard to go back into my videos and, what do you call it? Take out, splice out, you know, you edit how you edit a video. You can edit and then re-splice it in with something else. So even if I was to go and find a way to listen to the transcript at the courthouse, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, because if they're going to go as far as to do something like this to protect the corporation and themselves in terms of the judge obviously didn't want to answer to, why did you say just yes to her? You know? Because he didn't care, people. Right? It was already established it was going to be thrown out of court before I even showed up. So, you know, because I do videos, they watch my videos. And it's very easy for a skilled video editor to go in there and go into my videos and take out certain paragraphs or certain sentences or certain words and then import them into a different soundtrack. You're just taking soundtrack from one soundtrack to another soundtrack. You're just importing it and editing it in. So if I was to listen to the transcripts, and if for some reason that was said in the manner that it's being written here, that's why, because it was edited in. It has nothing to do with being paranoid. It has nothing to do with being suspicious. It's the fact that for the serious matters of what happened with Uncle John, there sure seems to be a lot of stonewalling going on around it, right? You would think that anybody in their right mind would be concerned about people being medically kidnapped, put in hammocks, transported in the ferry, at the bottom of the ferry with the cars as they're being put to sleep, being rushed off to the hospital, being denied access to children that they helped to raise. And also they could steal his money, people. That's all it was. And for whatever reason, the court system, these judges, I can't speak for the whole court, but, you know, this is like a beehive mentality. It kind of makes me think, like I said before, I know you're dealing with some sort of like lizard people or something. Something is off with these people where they're not with the mainstream. They're outside of the mainstream and they're predators because they're getting paid good money to hold that status quo so that people can continue to be exploited, basically, right? Poor people are being exploited. The elderly are being exploited for their assets. Children are being exploited through the court system, through, you know, CPS, Child Protective Services, and that type of thing. Poor people are being exploited out on the streets, being abused and forced to live like freaking savages as they're, you know, being attacked randomly and regularly by public servants, right? And the elderly are being exploited for their assets, their pension plans, their, you know, saving plans, their houses and whatnot, because anybody that's old with no money is out there or facing out on the streets, right? People with money, like in Uncle John's case, whether it's a pension plan or a house or whatever, you know, once these people seem to think that they can put the lock and key on them, that's it. They're gone. They're gone. And like I said before, it's usually the public guardian and trustee that families such as myself have to take to court. That's why they told me to take Eleanor to court, because they were treating Eleanor as if she was the public guardian and trustee, and normally people would go and take the public guardian and trustee to court because they wouldn't stop to think that this is a health authority, a government, a union problem. So if you ever lose a loved one through a similar circumstance as to how Uncle John went missing, don't bother take the public guardian and trustee to court, but also file a lawsuit against the health authority that perpetrated this upon your loved one, because this is why they're getting away with it, people, because not enough people are taking them to court. And when we do take them to court, they play dirty pool, right? They bring in court cases that are unrelated. They predetermine that you're bound to fail, right? You know, they use every trick in the book when it comes to the rule book, but yet their workers do not follow any legislation under, you know, provincial acts, right? And then they bring in their dirty judges and whatnot, right, to falsify transcripts so that, one, the judge can cover themselves in terms of Oh, no, I didn't say yes. I made sure I explained to her. No, he did not explain anything. He just wanted to get rid of me. He just said, yes, yes. That was it. That was it, people. And we left. My daughter was in there. At one point, he tried to kick her out because Andre was bouncing around, but she came back in and she seen it. And she said that as soon as we were done, as soon as he was done saying yes, he said it, yes, yes, we left. We left. He did not explain, because if he would have explained, people, I would have sat there and explained it to you on that day when I did that video. And I didn't explain that because that's not what he said. So, I know why they're doing it. 2 reasons for sure. And I don't know how to deal with it because, you know, we're dealing with a corrupt system, obviously, right? And they're the professionals. That's what it always boils down to. You know, bring in all these workers from overseas, put them in the healthcare system, you know, threaten them with, well, if you don't do your job the way we tell you to do your job, we're going to send you back to whatever. But it's a fun job because you get to ruin people's lives and you get to be a real bitch and or a real asshole. And, you know, you're not going to ever get caught because we're going to make sure you don't get caught, because if you get caught, we get caught. Right? So, of course, Fraser Health is never going to admit that their employees are corrupt any more than the judge is going to corrupt it. Any more than the judge is going to admit that Fraser Health, as a health authority, is corrupt. Right? Because they're predators, people. That's what it is. They're predators. And they go as far as falsifying transcripts. And because I do videos, it's very easy to go back into my videos and find certain key phrases, certain, like, you know, oh, I want people to have the freedom. I want people to have the freedom to be creative. I've recently said that in one of my past videos. So taking that little clip from that particular video and splicing it into some sentence to make a transcript so that if and when I should ever catch up to them and actually hear this transcript, they can say, well, there's your voice. You can hear yourself. I'd still be doubtful. I'd still be doubtful because I was there. I know what the judge said. Yes. Yes. And I said, okay. And that was it. And we left. And we went straight up to the Justice Access Center, right? Because that's the only thing that's available to us. They sent me to a pro bono people who accused me of being a hussy. Basically. Right? Because, you know, again, it's all about their pension plans. Right? Just keeping that status quo. And apparently, Vancouver has some pretty corrupt fucking lawyers that roam those halls. So, but in this case, it's not the lawyers, it's the judge. So if I was in that profession, for the ones that are not corrupt, obviously Fraser Health Lawyer Corporation is very corrupt because they're participating in it. But for the other lawyers that don't play dirty pool because they're, you know, they have a code of ethics, I'd be very concerned, because if they're falsifying transcripts with me, even though I don't have a lawyer representing me, you know they're going to do it somewhere else down the line to somebody else. And, you know, it's that little bird, the little canary in the gold mine. Chirp, 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 chirp. And don't say it doesn't happen, people. Google it. Okay? BC is corrupt with corrupt judges. The key to understanding judicial corruption in Canada is the position of Chief Justice. I had a Justice Bowden, okay? He must have been something in here. Anyway, as he or she is called at the higher courts, or Chief Judge, as he or she is described in the lower provincial courts. I'm doing something. The Chief Justice is the person who decides which judge will hear a particular case. Inside every court system, remember number 13, people? There are judges who are corrupt. When the Chief Justice wants a corrupt result, he or she will select a particular judge who can be relied upon to produce a corrupt result. I was prejudged, found guilty before I even walked in, people, and I was prosecuted under a mock trial that they are now falsifying transcripts to protect the corrupt judge, justice judge, or whatever he is, because, like I said, he never went on to explain what was written down. He just said, yes, yes, because he was bored, because it was already predetermined to be thrown out of court, because they have no interest in protecting old people across this province, because it relates to too much money, people. This system was described by British Columbia Justice John Book in a series of articles he wrote in 1998 that appeared in a major Canadian newspaper. Our source tells us that John Book was seriously threatened after he revealed how the system worked in Canada. The control of a Chief Justice is important, and one of the primary means of exerting such control is by sexual blackmail. Well, there's Rumorville that there's a lot of crazy crap that goes on downtown with all these rich folks. Anyway, like I said, they treat Uncle John like he was a missing Native woman, right? That nobody seems to care about. We have described the roles of the 9 Chief Justices or Chief Judges who were involved in the water war crime saga. And you can see Chief Justice of British Columbia Supreme Court, Brian Williams. Chief Justice of British Columbia Supreme Court. Where am I? In the Supreme Court. Donald Berner. Chief Justice of Provincial Court, British Columbia, Robert something. Chief Justice of Provincial Court, British Columbia, Hugh somebody else. Here's another one, Brian Neal. Here's another one, Alan McEachin. It just goes on and on and on. Children in the care of British Columbia government die at a rate that is several times higher than the death rate for children not in the care of the government. Where are we? Do you see this? Putting a child in care of the government of British Columbia has been a death sentence for many innocent children. British Columbia is a home to the Highway of Tears, the missing Native women. Add Uncle John to that list, where a serial killer stalks young women, while we now have predators stalking old people in the halls and in the hospitals. There has been repeated calls for an investigation, and there is speculation that the murder may be a rogue police officer. The British Columbia government has a history of genocide towards its native population. My family is a minority, people. I was prejudged, found guilty, and prosecuted all in the space of 15 minutes as they falsify transcripts. British Columbia is a center for child prostitution that ostensibly involves some of the most prominent members in our society. Why is it these people keep trying to play me off like I was Uncle John's concubine, just so they can avoid doing their job, the job that the taxpayers pay them to do, sending me to corrupt lawyers through their pro bono program, knowing that the pro bono isn't going to help with a lawsuit against the Fraser Health Authority, but they expect you to go there anyway, when in fact all those lawyers do is help people to go bankrupt, foreclose on their homes. Doesn't that sound familiar? Go bankrupt, foreclose on your home? That's what their specialties were. But yet that's where they're sending me to. Right? As the guy is calling me a hussy. British Columbia is the center for the production of child pornography. Some of it produced by using children seized by homes by an overly aggressive child protection service where government employed social workers have been actively involved in the making of child pornography but never charged. No faith in our justice system. Don't know where that's related. Canadian legal. The Canadian judiciary is completely politically appointed and is riddled with corruption, especially in British Columbia. There's another one. Do you see this, people? Don't say that it's paranoia on my part, because it's not. It's not. I bet you if I look in here long enough, I'll find Justice Bowden's name in here. And if it's not in here, it belongs in here. Seriously. I'm telling you, people. They went into my videos with their high-tech taxpayer dollar programs, spliced out something here, spliced out something there, put it into the transcript, and then they typed it up to cover up their shit, right? So that if I ever call them on it, they got that base covered, or they knew I'd catch on to it, because it's, I mean, you can't not remember, yes, yes. Right? That's not something that would be easy to forget. But if you notice, in that little bit there's not even one word that says yes. It's because it's been edited out. And if they have a live, like a sound video, like a soundtrack, if they have a soundtrack, and I ever get a hold of that soundtrack, and those words were imported into that soundtrack, so that they could make it look like I was like cuckoo, well, like I said, I have like 1,200 videos in there. And just, over the last month or two, I was talking about, people having the freedom to be creative, right? Instead of, don't breathe! Because this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with these don't breathe people, right? That, expect you to bend over and just, be their kick me in the ass around town kind of person, right? Because they're rich, right? They're rich, and they think they're entitled to it. And personally, I think some of them aren't even really human, because if they were human, they wouldn't be acting like this. And if they are still human, well, then they've lost something along the way, and they're severely brain dead. Seriously, there's big fucking something going up in there that's not right. And a lot of them are perverts, right? So, you mix that all up together, and what do you get? You get a monster. Communication Security Establishment Canada and the Judicial Mafia. We don't even have a judicial system. We have a judicial mafia. All right. Several years ago, a retired employee of the Canadian Department of National Defence quietly advised that he and others on the inside of the listening operations, this is where the cops spy on you. That's when you go down the road and you see them sitting in their car with their, they point their little, those like, whatever those, I don't know, there's a certain name for their spyware, right, at houses, and then they listen through the walls, right? Anyway, Judicial Mafia that was linked to certain lawyers and business people in Canada that fixed certain cases. A similar conversation was held with a retired Canadian Air Force general. The problem with these people is they know the secrets, but it is against the law for them to reveal them because they have signed secrecy agreements. Because, yeah, they'd be murdered, people. That's what would happen. A few years ago, the Vancouver City Police came under control of an ex-RCMP officer, Jamie Graham, who, a few years after that, moved on to become a police chief in Victoria City Police, where under his leadership, the investigation into the crimes of fraud, perjury, and obstruction of justice by the Minister of the Attorney General of British Columbia was shut down. Are you listening, people? This is messed up. Of course, I'd get crooked judges, right? Well, I'm dealing with a crooked fucking health authority, so, I mean, who should be surprised? Bitches on the bench in British Columbia. Look at that bitch. There's another bitch. Bitches on the bench. Observers report that Elizabeth Bennet and the other lying bitches on the Court of Appeal bench, where I'm going, people, in British Columbia, namely Mary Saunders and Nicole Garson, are quivering on their fat fannies at the recent commentary by Canadian Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould, who established a parliamentary precedent that sent shivers up the yellow spines of the judicial mafia that has been operating in Canada for decades by openly calling an unanimous vote by all members of the House of Commons for the immediate removal of Alberta Justice Robin Knees Together camps. Anyway, it's throughout Canada. Here's British Columbia again. The RCMP have been sitting on if you notice, the police don't help me with Uncle John. Have you noticed that, people? The RCMP have been sitting on a number of big complaints involving British Columbia in politics. 20 years of baby boomers going through the healthcare system is considered politics. It's a cash cow in the civil service, in the legal profession, in the judiciary, in the court admission, and in RCMP itself, which are related to the murder of Native women on the Highway of Tears, where a prime suspect is an RCMP officer. Who's this dude? Chief Justice Robert Bowman. Bob Bowman is the Chief Justice of all of British Columbia, and to him falls the duty of assigning specific judges to specific cases. Again, I was assigned number 13, just like they chose, Fraser Health, their lawyers chose to file this, I guess, factum that they're trying to get thrown out of court on my birthday, just like Eleanor Gilding filed her insignificant, illegal, all powers of attorney revoked on my birthday that people like this like to ignore. So if a dirty judge, like we believe Elizabeth is, needs cover for a dirty decision, Bob is the guy who can fix it so her lying, cheating ways are not exposed for all to see by appointing her friends to cases that review her questionable decisions. Bob worked his way up in the court system, and there are a number of people who think did it by doing bad judicial decisions in order to cover up major crimes by lawyers and other judges. That right there is Uncle John, people. Major crimes, right? Covered up. They're covering up major crimes, and they're doing it by lawyers and by judges. So maybe I need to contact these people who run these websites and put my story up. That's our drunk premier. Anyway, there's lots and lots of information. Just Google corrupt judges in BC. Okay. Seriously. This is one last long video, but whatever. Look at the date, March 15th, March 5th, 2015. This isn't very long ago, but I guess some good judges are being murdered off here. Dead judges don't lie. Another sudden judicial death linked to water war. Corrupt Catherine Nielsen retires. More will soon. And then it goes on, according to the website for the Court of Appeal for British Columbia, Justice Catherine Nielsen has decided to retire. We think Catherine Nielsen is a crook, and we will explain why. About 2 years ago, the criminals inside the administration of the Supreme Court of British and Provincial Court of British Columbia, this is like where I go, people. Oops, sorry. This is where I go. This is downtown, including Justice Heather Holmes, Associate Chief Justice Austin Cullen, Chief Justice Christopher Hickson, Chief Provincial Court Judge Thomas Crabtree, and Judge John Leghan, and Attorney General Susan Atten, in charge of court administration, were successful in blocking Mr. Carton's access to court records, which, in our system of law in Canada, are always considered public. Mr. Carson appealed the case of the Court of Appeal for British Columbia, where Justice Ed Carson, David Franklin, and Catherine Nielsen were assigned to hear the appeal in January of 2015. Exactly. You have to, quiet, Andre. You have to go up against 3 judges, people. I don't know, ruled the panel of Nielsen, something in Franklin. We are not going to allow you access to our court records, which will prove that the cases against you were rigged all along. Ruled the panel of them. We will not permit it. We can screw over whomever we like, and our records proving we are criminals must therefore be kept secret, or we will go to jail and lose our salaries of $250,000 per year. Mr. Carton filed complaints with various authorities, and the dirty judge Catherine Nielsen decided to retire effective June 30th, 2016. Maybe she can no longer look at her face in the mirror. Some people think Catherine will live a long life in retirement with a nice fat pension at taxpayers' expense, but our experience is that dirty judges die very quickly. I guess some stuff has been going on out here that I don't know. I haven't been aware of it, but anyway. Violating a judicial oath of office is a very serious thing. Falsifying transcripts, I would think, is a very serious thing. When an innocent family comes to a courthouse, puts thousands of hours into a lawsuit just so that the family can move on with their life, and unfortunately Uncle John never got to move on. He died. As well as set a precedent so that other elderly people and families don't get injured in the manner that we have. You would think that the court system would be honorable and would act upon that, but of course not. We're dealing with corruption here, right? Judges take a solemn oath before God and Satan. Well, we know where Andrew crawled out of. To administer justice honestly and without favor. Again, I was prejudged, found guilty before I even walked into the door, people, and then I was prosecuted. There was no trial, right? It was mumbo-jumbo, pulling on case law that apparently said that I was bound to fail and that I sexually abused John, and therefore the doctor rescued him because it was the doctor who had the duty of care, because John all of a sudden through this case file became a 14-year-old girl who had been molested by her parents, and they put her into a mental institution because the doctor said that needed to be done. But yet at the same time, they released Uncle John on his own accord, even though he couldn't see, he couldn't walk, he had been drugged for 43 days under their care, and they were plotting and scheming and knocking him out, putting him in a hammock, transporting him in the bottom of a fucking ferry, and then they rushed him to emergency on the other side so that he wouldn't die on them because they needed his signature. and then they kept him locked up like a slave, like a prisoner, denied him access to his family, wouldn't give him legal representative, right? Wouldn't allow him to have a legal representative of his choice, because we had one, and injured him, probably gave him shock therapy to speed up the loss of memory, as well as any other brain scans that they were doing on him, just so they could do whatever they do, people. Honest to God. Other people aren't going to write this kind of stuff, okay? Like, this is a lot of shit in here. Here's more. Who's murdering judges that know too much? Was Judge Blanche murdered? Judicial murdered by cancer, and Justice Carolyn something. The rapid decline and death of Madam Justice Stevens from a healthy, vibrant woman to a victim of cancer within 30 days has raised speculation that she was murdered by cancer. Exactly, because you can't trust the healthcare system. There's something wrong with it, people. There is something wrong with the healthcare system. The public is genuinely aware that there are several ways to kill a person by suddenly induced heart attack, but the public is less aware that there is technology that can induce cancer. Experts in the field generally recognize two kinds of technology to cause cancer. 1, the use of causing cancer toxins, and 2, the use of equipment that emits extremely low frequency electromagnetic waves. Interesting how my ears ring all the time. Interesting how I have energy weapons that fly through my yard, whether it's Project Bluebeam, energy bullets, or just things that like to scoot through the grass, hide behind a tarp, and then just take off again, right? I have it on video, people. That's what you call electromagnetic waves. Right? It's right there. Notorious recent case of murder by cancer by using toxins was that of Alex, former Russian Federal Security Service. That one, everybody remembers that one. That was pretty much documented. Who fled from court prosecution in Russia and received political asylum in the United Kingdom on November 1st. Andre, please, of 2006. Levintioko suddenly fell ill and was hospitalized. He died 3 weeks later, becoming the first confirmed victim of lethal polonium-210 induced acute radiation syndrome. What people do for money. Was another Canadian judge murdered by insiders. Judge Carol, I feel so sorry for these people, man. Shown in the photo on the left, dropped dead suddenly from unexplained causes in Ottawa on June 27th of 2012. She is death number 32 in the graveyard of the guilty, and she is also the 12th judge to die shortly after her questionable conduct while on the bench made public. There is good reason to believe she, in order to protect those who instructed her to break her oath of office and to make a perverse ruling against Mr. Carton and Miss Gibbs at the Federal Court of Appeal. In our opinion, the sudden death of Judge Carolyn Stevens was the direct and logical consequence of a dirty, crooked judicial game played by Chief Justice Alan Lufty of Canada Federal Court, blah, 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 inside doing their jobs as they are required by the law. They bent, twisted, and perverted the law to deny Mr. Carton and Mrs. Gibb their fundamental right to bring their case to court. That's exactly what they're doing with me, people. That's exactly what they're doing with me. They twisted it, they've bent it, and they've perverted it. And now they're falsifying transcripts to cover up their asses. Right? So, what do you do? What do you do? British Columbia Chief Judge Hugh Stanfield, date of death, May 7, 2009. On May 7, 2009, British Columbia Provincial Court Chief Judge Hugh Stanfield suddenly and mysteriously died at age 54. He was a young man, allegedly from cancer. During the period from April 1st to May 3rd, 2009, documents were being assembled and exchanged over the internet between the whistleblower lawyer and a private investigator that implemented Judge Stanfield in a sexual abuse of children as young as 6. These documents were never delivered to anyone, but agents of the Government of Canada are presumed to have been monitoring the email exchange, and Judge Stanfield may have been murdered or committed suicide. Death by cancer was a convenient alibi because 5 years earlier, Judge Stanfield had been treated for cancer, but death by cancer defied common sense because Judge Stanfield was seen to be in a robust good health at a public hearing on April 25th, 2009, and 12 days later he was dead from a disease that kills slowly over months or years. Anyway, people, welcome to my world. I'm dealing with BC corrupt judges now. Okay, I'm going to just split up these videos. I'm going to put this falsifying transcripts with its own video, and where I went down up by, you know, where the homeless shelter is today to document how people are living. I'll make that a separate video because, you know, like I'm now I'm reading how hard it would be for somebody to alter a transcript, right? And it says accurate trial records are essential in protecting the validity and verification of trial cases. This is, Andre, please. This is why tampering with court transcripts is considered a serious crime. As such, court reporters must have strong skills and even stronger ethics to ensure that the information is 100% intact and accurate. Once the court reporter transcribes the trial's dialogue. Now remember, I was not in a trial. I was in a dismissal trial. It was not even a trial. It was a hearing. I never went to a trial, people. I was prosecuted. I was deemed guilty, and it was just a matter of punishing me, right? He then must verify the validity. So, and I, you know, my camera's getting low. Hold on a minute. Once the court reporter transcribes the trial's dialogue, he then must verify the validity of the transcript with the presiding lawyers before it is certified and sent to the clerk of court. That didn't happen. Andrew sent me a letter saying I had to sign it ASAP. You remember that? But I waited until I went downtown, right? And then when I went downtown, I asked the people at the Justice Resource Center if it was okay to sign it without, you know, going to the appeal court first. He said, yeah, it's pretty standard, didn't blink an eye. So maybe this is what they're talking about, because I never seen no transcripts, people. So if I signed that piece of paper and that agreed to whatever transcripts had been manufactured without my knowledge, then it was done through deceit. As a result, a judge's falsification or tampering of a record would only be difficult. As a result, a judge's falsification or tampering of a record would not only be difficult, but pointless. Well, no, not if I'm being told to hurry up and sign something and that I need to sign it now. And if I don't sign it, I'm going to get into trouble, right? I mean, is that what I signed? Was to say that whatever transcripts that were available, because when I asked to look at them, they wouldn't give them to me, people. I went and asked for the transcripts. They wouldn't give them to me. So, and that was before I signed the paper. Convinced a court reporter to alter the transcript. Transcripts require special equipment, security keys, and software to create and edit. Now remember, not only would this make the reporter an accessory to a crime, but it would also place him in the sights of the Judicial Conduct Board. So maybe I should be looking to see if we have a Judicial Conduct Board out here in British Columbia, Canada. How often would you think a reporter would risk his future to willingly change a trial report? Would you? Well, yeah. When you're dealing with somebody like me who's sick, not feeling very well, can't access the healthcare system, obviously is being targeted by professional people within the public union sector to, carry on with their criminal activity when it comes to hijacking old people and their money. Right? It's big business, people. This must be Virginia or something. This is VA. So, cover his tracks well enough to avoid a hearing, but the Judicial Conduct Board investigates allegations of wrongdoing by lawyers and all members of the judicature. It then serves as a prosecutor before the Court of Judicial Discipline, which could result in job loss, disbarment, or even imprisonment. But the previous articles I was showing you it had stated that no judges in British Columbia ever get disbarred, right? They don't ever get caught for the things that they do, but it's obvious that we have a mafia of some kind out here, right? And it's been going on for a long time. Anyway, knowing full well that it's illegal to do, you still think tampering with court records would be easy? Or is it more likely that there was a miscommunication problem during transcription? Yes. 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 There was no miscommunication problem. There was words being imported. And like I said, if they imported my voice, they took the recording from one of my videos, people. And they used their high-tech equipment with their security keys and software to create and to edit a transcript that's not real in order to protect the judge, because the judge said I could file another lawsuit. The judge said I could appeal. I asked him, can I appeal? Yes. Can I file another lawsuit? Yes. Reads a whole lot different than what they wrote. Although the chance of your trial record being tampered with is extremely low, as a lawyer, you know that although something may be improbable, nothing is impossible. In addition to malicious tampering, which is what I'm dealing with, is malicious tampering, people. Fraser Health is being very malicious. And they're drawing in their cohorts to protect themselves as a corporation. Poor transcript communication, human error, and misunderstanding can also play a huge part in the distortion of trial facts. This is why you need to take a specialized interest in who is transcribing the trial reports. Well, like I said, they gave me number 13. So they had already presumed me to fail, right, under their case law. And I was deemed guilty and prosecuted before I even walked in, and then they just punished me. So don't be surprised, people. Please don't be surprised. Hold on a minute. And as a final note, just to show you how easy it is, this new tech can copy anyone's voice using just a minute of audio. I have thousands of hours of audio on YouTube, people. Right? Andre, please, like Voco, Learbird's latest application program interface synthesizes speech using anyone's voice. Unlike Voco, which requires 20 minutes of audio to generate its replication, Lybird's tech only needs a minute-long sample of the voice it synthesizes. And if that's not impressive enough, Lybird's new service doesn't require a speaker to say any of the actual words it needs. It can learn from noisy recording and put different intonations into the generated audio to indicate varied emotions as well. A concerned voice. Lybird's new tech is revolutionary indeed. It doesn't just edit audio recording, it makes it easy for someone to generate a new recording that truly sounds like it was spoken by a particular person and not created by a computer. So don't say it doesn't happen, people. It does, because the judge said yes, yes. Can I file another one? Yes. I didn't ask if I had the freedom. I just said, can I file another one? Yes. Can I file another lawsuit? Yes. Okay. And I left. Thank you. And I left. Not this mumbo jumbo shit that they put in there, people. This raises some rather interesting questions, and not only does Lybird acknowledge these, the company actually wants everyone else as well. Everyone else too as well. Voice recordings, please Andre, voice recordings are currently considered as strong pieces of evidence in our society, and in particular in, here we go, people, jurisdictions of many countries. Our technology questions the validity of such evidence as it allows to easily manipulate audio recording. This could potentially have dangerous consequences, such as misleading diplomats, fraud, and more generally, any other problem caused by stealing the identity of somebody else or trying to manipulate court transcripts. We hope that everyone will soon be aware that such technology exists and that copying the voice of someone else is possible. More generally, we want to raise attention about the lack of evidence that audio recording may represent in the near future. Because they won't allow you people to bring in your own recorder. Now, why is that? Why can you not record something that you're a party of? Even though under the Criminal Code of Canada, you're entitled to do that. In short, Lybird wants people to know they can easily be duped by audio and hopes this knowledge will actually prevent fraud. By releasing our technology publicly, and the government is 25 years in advance of the general public, people, and making it available to anyone, we want to ensure that there will be no such risks. There you go. There you go, people.
Is it recording?
Being aware of the potential to be bamboozled by audio is one thing, but protecting oneself from potential fraud is another. Still, the value of Lybird's technology can't be denied. Whether it is useful for things like creating more realistic sounding virtual assistants outweighs its potential for nefarious endeavors remains to be seen. Fraser Health Authority. Are you now drawing in the Canadian court system into your nefarious endeavors because you have a judicial mafia running the show? Is that it? Is that what Uncle John fell into the hands of, a judicial mafia? My God.